I'm going to be taking chapter 2 of our curriculum, and somehow this is going to be a live class in the sense that I'm going to teach from beginning to the end. The last set of students I taught for Cisco, I didn't teach them this chapter immediately. I jumped it and taught chapter 3 and some other related chapters. But for some reason, I just said, okay, let me just take this because some people they may want it this way. And it has to do with configuration or into switch and configuration of switch, which for me, I feel it is too early to introduce students to configuration at the beginning like this. That's why I didn't teach it at the beginning of that particular class. But if you have a problem, don't worry yourself. We're still going to come back to it in another chapter, but we're going to take it deeper. But for today, I'm just going to introduce you to the switch and the basic configuration of the switch and even the end devices that we have in Packet Tracer. And let me say this, I believe all of us know that the tool we're going to be using in this class to do our practicals is Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer is a tool given to us by Cisco in the academy to do our configuration. Of course, we have the live equipment also after we are done using the Packet Tracer to teach the students. So I'm going to be talking about basic switch and end device configuration. Basic switch and end device configuration. So I need to go my own way first before I will come and do some audio. Somebody is saying audio. Can you people hear me? Please give me thumbs up if you can hear me. Someone is saying audio. Can you hear me, please? Give me thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay, Simon, if you are not hearing me, that could be from your own end. So please check your internet connection. Check your internet connection. If you are not hearing me, it could be from your own end. Okay, good. So people are hearing me. All right, so I want to say a few things before I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint like that. I'm going to do more of practicals straight away, but I want to say a few things before I start this particular part. So this switch we're talking about, remember in our last class, I talked about a switch. So let me pick it from there. I said, when you want to build a local area network, which we'll talk about briefly, you need a switch to build a local area network. That is, if you are building a wired network. I explained this very well. And I showed you the picture of a switch, especially Cisco switch. Cisco switch. I showed you guys on Google that day. So by now, we want to talk about the configuration of the switch that we can use to build our local area network. But I need you guys to understand some things about this switch. I can decide to use this switch as plug and play. That's where I'm going now. Plug and play, meaning what? I will just buy this switch. I don't need to do any, I don't know. Let's even assume I don't know about configuration. I'll just buy the switch, power the switch, connect my computer to the switch, and that switch will still build a local area network for me. That's what we call plug and play, or what we call unmanaged switch. Unmanaged, meaning you can't configure it. Managed switch. So sometimes some people buy switches that cannot be configured. Sometimes some people use switch that can be configured, but they don't know how to configure it, so they use this as unmanaged. So I'm putting it to you again now. If I buy a switch that I can configure, now that switch is called a managed switch. Managed switch. If I buy a switch that cannot be configured, that switch is called unmanaged switch. So why do I need a managed switch? As a professional, that is the best thing for you can do. Because the switch has a lot of capability that you don't leave to chance. I'm talking of managed switches now. But your managed switch is just going to help you build local area network and nothing more. Let me give you an example for a managed switch. Let's say my name is Roland, and I have configured a particular connection or a port on this switch for myself. Anytime I'm not in the office, if another person should come and connect to that port, bring his laptop, it will not work. I can only do that on a managed switch. I can't do it on unmanaged switch. This thing I just talked about now is called port security. Port security. I can only do that on a managed switch. It cannot be done on unmanaged switch. There are some other stuff like spanning tree protocol. All those unmanaged switches do not support spanning tree protocols. We are going to come to this in CCNA 2. So there is a lot to gain when you use managed switch. So you need to understand that. But the point I'm trying to make is this: switches can be used as plug and play. You can just drop the switch, plug your computers to it, and then there you go. You have built a local area network. And people are browsing, and people are doing whatever they need to do. But that switch cannot go beyond that. There's so many disadvantages we can talk about when you use plug and play switches, when you use unmanaged switches. So you need to be aware of that. So in the context of today's class, we're talking about Cisco switch, and we're talking about managed switch. So Cisco switches are all managed switches. So I've never seen a Cisco switch that is unmanaged or plug and play. So this particular chapter 2 is trying to tell us about the switch. We want to know more about the switch. So let's carry go. Please don't forget, if you have questions, just be putting your questions down. When I'm done, we're going to take questions. So when you talk about Cisco switch or switch, managed switches generally, but in this context now it's Cisco switch, we want to know about this switch. You can divide this switch when you talk about components now, major components. You can divide this into two parts. The switch is an hardware, just like your regular computer. I try my students, when you talk about switch, when you talk about router, when you talk about access point, these are also computers, just that they are special purpose computers. So your switch is a hardware, like your normal computer. That's why you can touch it, you can carry the body. Let's go back and see. Let's go back and see switch. Let's go to Google and see switch again. Let me see Cisco switch. Let's start with Cisco switch, guys. So you can see the images of the switches here. These are different models of Cisco switches. So it's hardware. You can touch it. You can carry it and mount it somewhere. You can connect the cables to it. That is because it's a hardware. I'm going somewhere. And because it's a hardware and it's a special purpose computer, that means it also has some other things that we have in computer. Like it has a RAM. Your switch has a RAM. Your switch has a CPU. Your switch has a board. Don't let me call it motherboard now. In computers, normal computer, we say motherboard. It has a board. And our switch has something we call NVRAM. That is like your normal hard drive in computer. Your switch has what you call a console port. Your switch has what is called auxiliary ports. These are all the hardware that is on the switch. It has a ROM. If you go and look at a normal computer, for those of you that have done Computer A+ or IT Essential, all these components I'm talking about, you're going to see them in a regular computer, except the NVRAM. It just left to me, they just changed the name. Instead of calling it hard drive, they said NVRAM, non-volatile random access memory. RAM does not keep things permanently. NVRAM keep things permanently. So the same component you have in the switch or in a regular computer, you also have it in a switch. So don't ever forget this. So when I talk about switch in this class, when I talk about Cisco switch, Cisco router, or any other switches out there, or any other router hiding, they are all hardware. They are all special purpose computer. The same job that the RAM is doing with a regular computer is the same job that the RAM is doing in the switch. Same thing with CPU. The only difference is switch is not like your regular computer in the sense that you sit down with it, input some things. It's a network device. Network device. Okay. Another thing, they have interfaces or what we call ports. Ordinary ports. Let me just say interfaces where you plug your computers. They have ports. This same switch you are looking at, it also has what we call operating system. Just like your normal regular computers. Your regular computers have Windows 10, Windows 11, maybe Linux, maybe what have you. The switch do not run those kind of operating system. They don't run Microsoft operating system. So in the context of today's class, our switch runs on an operating system called Cisco IOS. Cisco call it Cisco Internetwork Operating System. This is the big deal about the Cisco guys. So when you talk about Cisco is that it is the operating system. That is their power. It's just like when you talk about Microsoft. The big deal about Microsoft is Windows in the time past before you now talk about cloud now. So Cisco is the owner of this operating system that is running on their switch. Cisco is the owner of this operating system that is running on routers as well. And they also have firewall and so on and so forth. So whenever you see a switch, whether it is Cisco switch or not Cisco switch, like other vendors also have their own operating system. There are other vendors out there which cannot stand beside Cisco, to the best of my knowledge, especially in this net, in routing and switching. They also have their own hardware. I mean, their own operating system. You need to be aware of this. So when I mention a switch, when I mention a router, let your mind just go to a special purpose computer that is just doing made especially for networking, basically for networking. So what we want to do into this class is this. We want to bring out a Cisco switch in our packet tracer. And when we bring out that switch, we don't want to use that switch as plug and play because it's a managed switch. We want to enter into that switch and begin to check some stuff and begin to look around and see how does the environment, how does it look like? That operating system we're talking about, what are the things we can do when we enter into the switch? Those are the things I'm going to be doing today's class. For example, now, if I carry a Cisco switch now, one of the things I can do is I can give the switch a name. I can give the switch a name. I can password some part of the switch because it is not a plug and play switch. I can put IP address on the switch. Those are basic stuff. I can set time on the switch. What is again? Some basic stuff. I can give name. I can change the password of how to enter into the switch. I can put IP address on that switch. I can change the time. So many things can be done, but we're going to talk about the basics today. And you're going to see it. So we want to bring out a Cisco switch using packet tracer and learn how to configure basic switch configuration, how to have basic switch configuration. So how will I configure my switch? How do I access that Cisco Internetwork Operating Systems interface? There are three ways we can access the switch. We can pass through the console. We can have a console connection, and I'm going to show you guys. We can use Telnet, which it is not advisable. Don't ever use Telnet. And we can use SSH. So in today's class, I'm going to only teach you guys how to use a console port to enter into the switch, to access the switch. How to use a console port of the switch to enter into the switch. But before we go into that practically, let me add one more thing, and then we'll go into the practical session. So let's say this is a switch. I want to configure the switch. The switch has a particular port called a console port. I will show you now when we open the packet tracer. This is a management port that I can use to access that switch in the context of today's class now. But how will I access that switch? Guys, I need a computer, my computer. And I'm going to plug a cable, carry a cable coming from here to this console port. What kind of cable? I'm going to show you guys. We use a cable called console cable. And this will set up what we call a console connection between my computer and the switch. I'm going somewhere, guys. Anytime you want to configure a Cisco router, at least in this context now, a Cisco switch, a Cisco router, you establish a console connection to the switch. How do you establish a console connection to the switch? You use a cable called console cable. You take it to one end of your laptop. Nowadays, we use USB. In those days, we use, forgot the name of this. There's another port with serial port, but we now use a converter. But nowadays, we use a USB. So that's USB. You plug this to your USB. You take the other side to your console port. And on this console port is RJ45 connector. We plug to this place. I'm going to show you guys right now. And that is what is called a physical connection. So I'm going somewhere, guys. So if I want to configure the switch, I need to first of all set up a physical connection. When I'm done setting up a physical connection, the next thing I will do is I will set up a logical connection before I can configure my switch. Physical connection is what I just did right now using a console cable. How do I set up a logical connection? There are softwares we use to set up a logical connection to the switch. One of it is, this one is old school anyway, HyperTerminal. It used to be inbuilt into Windows XP in the days of XP. Another one is Teraterm. Another one is PuTTY. PuTTY is very popular now. There are different software we can use to establish a logical connection to the switch. And these softwares, any of these softwares will be installed on your computer. So when you are done setting up your physical connection, you go and launch that software. Let me see. It's like I still have Teraterm on this system. Let me check. Oh no, I don't have Teraterm here. Okay, when we come to the second part of this switch configuration, I'm going to show you guys that. So I'm going to go and set up, launch that Teraterm, and then put some settings there, which I'm going to show you in Packet Tracer, and boom, you're going to be in the switch. So let's check this out in Packet Tracer. For those of you that have never seen Packet Tracer, I'm still going to walk you guys through on how to use Packet Tracer, or how to install Packet Tracer, and how to begin to now use some basic network through Packet Tracer. So this is Packet Tracer. Please, if you can see my screen, let me see your thumbs up. This is Packet Tracer. And here we have our routers, we have our switches, we have a lot of stuff here that we can use for, thank you guys. So we can use for a lot of stuff here. So in this, thank you, I can see your thumbs up. I want to configure a switch. I want to do basic configuration. Basic configuration. So just like I said, I think I have a class where I taught the basic basic usage of Packet Tracer. I'll look for that video and drop on the platform for you guys, for those of you that have never seen Packet Tracer. So if you take a look at this right now, down here, if you look at down here, I have the different devices. These are different routers. So on the left side here, I have switch. I'm going to select this switch, and it's going to give me different models of switches. So what do I need here? I need a switch. I need a computer, because I cannot configure my switch without a computer. So what will I do? I'll click the switch. See one model here, 2960, one of my favorite model of all time. Then I'll click computer. I'll bring out, I can use my laptop. And then I need cable. Now this is the cable. Oh, sorry, I was going to show you guys console cable, how it looks like. Let me show you. Real life console cable. This is a console cable that we use to connect, to configure either Cisco router or Cisco switch. So if you look at the console cable, one of it has USB here. This is the one we use nowadays, USB to RJ45 console cable. But in those days, this is the one we normally use in those days. This one plugs with a serial port, DB9 adapter. It comes with a DB9 adapter. That was before the USB became popular for configuration purposes. So this cable, if you're a network engineer, you will always move around with it, especially when you want to do initial setup on your switches, on your router, Cisco switches. So this is how a console cable looks like. But in Packet Tracer, of course, it's just to depict for us. So we have something like that. This is our console cable in Packet Tracer. I can click this cable, bring it up here, select RS232. I have never tried USB. I don't know why I'm always running away from trying this USB. Let me try USB connection if it will work. But we always use RS232. That is the one that depicts that serial port that you saw in that place. the serial connection you saw in that place. That's what we normally use in the time past. But then nowadays, USB is very popular. So let me try USB and see. Click USB. Okay, they say I can't use USB. So I don't know. Maybe it's not yet integrated into Packet Tracer. So I'll click RS232. Then I'll take the cable to the switch. Now I need you guys to watch out, guys. Watch out for something here. The moment I point at this switch, oh, okay, somebody say I should increase. That's nice. Let me do that. Is this big enough for you? I hope it's big enough for you. So if I click this key, this laptop, I click HAR232. Welcome. I go to my switch and click the switch. Normal clicking, not right clicking. Normal clicking, that's your left click. Normal general clicking. The moment I click this switch, guys, you can see all the ports that I have on this switch. All of them are displayed. All the ports that I have on this switch, they came out. You can see my console port there. That is the port I need right now. All other ports you are looking at on this switch now, they are for network connection. When I say network connection, for sending data, for browsing the internet. This only one that you see console, that is the one we need to enter into this switch for the purpose of configuration. And that is why this port is called a console port. Management port. That's why it's called a management port rather. So if I click this port now, guys, I'm done with physical connection in my Packet Tracer. So in the real world scenario, I want to configure a new switch or a switch that has just been reset. I need my laptop. I need my console cable. And I will establish my physical connection. What is the next thing to do? I need to establish a logical connection. How do I establish a logical connection? I will click the laptop. You don't forget I said in the real world, the software, one of those softwares that I mentioned must have been installed on that laptop. I will click the laptop. Then, in the context of Packet Tracer right now, I'll go to desktop. Then I'll go to terminal. That is the way they kind of trying to imitate that software in the real world. In the real world. Now, there are some settings here which are there by default. All I just need to do is I'm in agreement with these settings. Even though when I was a student, under flow control, they tell us to click hardware. Then that's if it's a switch. And then if it's a router, we click none. But without we realize that whether you change it that one or you don't change it, it works perfectly. So we don't change anything here. But let me still pick hardware and see. I know what. So you just click OK. Now, guess what? If my physical connection is done properly, no problem with the cable, I plug to the right port. The moment I launch this software right now, that's the software that will give you a logical connection and give you an entrance into that switch. The moment I click OK like this, I am going to be in the switch. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the switch right now. Now, this switch has just tried to boot, or it has finished booting because I brought it out earlier and booted. And you can see some information about the switch, like the numbers of interfaces. You can see some things here. 24 fast Ethernet port, 2 gigabit interfaces. You can see the board number. You can see some other stuffs here. So where are we going? You can even see it's telling me that this particular switch is running Cisco iOS and it's telling us some information about the operating system. This is a Cisco iOS software, C2960. That is the model of this switch. And it's even telling me the kind of OS is running. See the operating system here. Because Cisco has different operating systems, guys, on different models of their switches, depending on the capacity of that switch. It's just like you have Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, look at the version of the operating system. So you're going to get some information from here. But this is not where I'm going to. It's now telling me press return, get started. Return means enter key. Press enter to get started. The moment I hit enter like this, I am inside the switch. Guys, I am inside the switch. And what you need to know, Cisco devices are command line based. They are not GUI. Let me tell you that now. Command line based, meaning we are going to be using commands to do our things from this environment. So that is what makes the Cisco guy big, guys. Because if you can do something from the command line, the GUI will not be a big deal to you. So all this is any training we are going to be doing. Anything we are going to be doing is command based. Maybe in the future, we have a GUI that we can use as actually, but we don't do that in training. There's a software we used to use to access GUI interface of the switch or even of the router. And unfortunately, there are some things you will not be able to do from the GUI environment. GUI simply means graphical user environment, where you just click things and check things and say, okay. It's like Microsoft. When you're installing something, everything is, do you agree with this? Yes, I agree, I don't agree, and all of those stuff. That is GUI. From Cisco's perspective, everything is command line in this context now. Command line. And then we can have a GUI aspect, which will not be taught in this class. Command line. So everything I'm going to be doing now, I want to give the switch a name. Command line. I want to add some other thing. Command line, and so on and so forth. Please, no distraction. I don't want distraction. If you have any question, keep it when we finish the class. Okay. So I'm taking you somewhere. You need to take a look at something here. This particular device is showing us switch as the name of the switch, and it gave us a sign. That sign is called a prompt. It's a command prompt, and it has a name. So that's what I want to take you guys, I'll walk you guys through right now. Like right now, as you see right now, the switch gave us this sign. Switch and greater than sign. But that's not what we call it. This environment is called users executive mode. Users executive mode. Now, in this environment, we can only do few things. I will show you all the things we can do in this environment. How will you see all the things we can do in this environment? I can just press question mark and hit enter. It will show me all the commands that I can issue in this environment. Like now, I want to give this switch a name. I want to give this switch a name. I cannot give this switch name at this environment where I am. I cannot give this switch a name. So let me show you guys. Let me show you guys now. Like now, where I am right now, what are the commands that I can issue in this environment? All I need to do is to press a question mark. Look at it. I press a question mark and hit enter. It show me all the commands. I can use connect. I can use disable. I can use disconnect. I can use enable, exit, log out, ping, resume, show, SSA, telnet, terminal, string. Most of these commands, let's say 80% of them, you will be able to use from this environment by the time we're done with the last part, the second part of the training of this switch configuration. So now what do I want to do? I don't give this switch a name. There's no command here to give this switch a name. And I need to give this switch a name. It's part of best practices. So I need to move away from this environment. Go to another environment that is called a privileged executive mode. From there, let me see if I can name the switch. How do I get into that environment? Look at the command here. It's like you're climbing a ladder, you're moving to another realm, another level. Let me see if there are more privileges, more opportunities for me at that level. So I will type this command called enable and hit enter. By the time I type enable and hit enter, ladies and gentlemen, see where I am? My prompt has changed. The prompt changed from user executive mode to what we call privileged executive mode. Privileged executive mode. So we were in this mode before. The moment I type enable and hit enter, my prompt changed to hash. You people call it hashtag now. This is not hashtag now. We call it privilege executive mode. This is another environment on my switch. And the good news is this environment, the way we are navigating now, is the same thing on the router. So what are the things I can do here? My point is I want to name this switch. How can I name this switch? I want to name this switch. I will put question mark again. Look for a command that will help me to name. That's not how you're going to be looking. No. I'm going to teach you basic configuration, and I'm just taking you guys step by step since we're just starting the configuration. So if I put question mark again now, I'm trying to name this switch. Guys, look at all the commands that I can issue. I can clear, I see clock here, I can set time. I don't want that now. I want to name this switch. I want to name this switch. How can I name this switch? There's a command that can help me to name. Guess what? We have to change from this level again and go to another level. And that level is called global configuration mode. And the command to go to that environment is configure terminal. Now, if I put configure now, you can see only configure. If I put configure and put question mark, you can see that I'm follow with terminal. Just learn the basic step from step 1 to step 2, from step 2 to step 3. That is moving from username, from users mode to privilege mode, from privilege mode to global configuration mode. If I go to global configuration mode right now, by typing configure terminal and hit enter, you can see that my prompt has changed again. So you need to know how to navigate between all of these 3 different levels, 3 different ranks. From users mode to executive mode to from users mode to privilege mode to global configuration mode. And you know what? If you give your enemy access to this environment, you have given them the keys to the kingdom. So meaning they can do and undo from this environment. They can touch this, they can do anything on your switch. Especially if you don't have least privilege enabled for them. Guys, look at it. If I put question mark again, you now see that I have more commands in this environment than earlier. And then what I'm still trying to do, I want to give this switch a name. And look at what I'm looking for. The command I am looking for is under global configuration mode. So I have to get to that mode before I can change the name of the switch. There's so many other things I can do here. So most of the configuration, we do them from global configuration mode. You want to give the switch a name, we'll go to global configuration mode. You want to, there's so many things today here we do at global configuration mode. So that's the first step. You need to know how to navigate. Let's step 1, step 2, step 3. So now how do I make use of this command? All I just need to do is to type host name. I want to name this switch, let's say CCNA class or CCNA global. Let's say CCNA global. Why do I have to name it CCNA global? That's just for this car. Let me tell you, in the real world, you give the switch name based on the location of the switch. Take for instance now, in the university where I work, if there are maybe 2 or 3 switches in the accounting department, you will see there may be switch accounts, accounting switch 1, switch 1, accounting switch 2, accounting switch 3. If you go to maybe another department, and the reason is when you need to manage those devices remotely, you know the differences between those devices. If they call you now and say, there's no network in the accounting department too, you know the switch to go inside. Not that you just go into the switch, you want to enter into the switch remotely. All of them are looking at you and they are showing you their names as switch. How will you differentiate between the switches? So that's why we give name based on location most of the time where the switch is working. Sometimes it's based on the building, maybe building 1, building 2, building 3. It depends on the naming convention of the organization. So let's just name this one CCNA Global. Watch out, guys. The moment I hit enter, the name of my switch has changed from switch to CCNA Global. This is the first thing we do in the switch. We give the switch a name based on location. So I'm good, I'm happy. I've given the switch a name. So what do I do? But it start now. Let me save this configuration. Let me say, I want to save this configuration. And guess what? I can save configuration where I am right now. But because I want to teach you guys how to go backward, you must know how to go forward, one level to another level to another level, and you should also know how to go backward. Exit command will take you a step backward, guys. Exit. Exit. How did we get here? From where did we get here? We got here from privilege mode, right? If I type exit and hit enter, I am back at privilege mode. Did you see that? Back at privilege mode. It's from this mode now I can save my job. How do I save my job? I'm entering to another thing now. How to move from one level to another, and then how to save your job. How do I save my job? Which job am I even saving? I've given the switching name. Is it compulsory for me to save now? No. I can say when I'm done. And I just want to teach you that command and then we'll move forward again. So in this environment right now, and say, okay, now I want to save my job. Here we go again. I want to save. How do I save? Don't forget we're in command line. Command is copy, running, config, spacebar, startup, config. I'm going to explain this. I'm sure some people like, am I sure I want to do GCCNA? Everything we are doing right now is in the RAM. All our configuration now, everything you do on it's like your normal computer. When you are designing or you are typing something, everything is in the RAM. But don't forget that your RAM is volatile. If power goes off, everything disappears. That's why you save your job. So in the context of network devices like switch, everything we are doing right now is in the RAM, and that is called a running configuration file. All our files now are in the RAM. That's what we call running config. But we want to save our job into NVRAM. NVRAM is like your hard drive. And when it gets there, that file is named startup config. It's like your permanent file that we can use later whenever we power the switch. So we are simply telling this switch, copy what is in the RAM to NVRAM. That is the meaning of this command. All the things I have in the RAM right now, let me put it in NVRAM. And down the road, I'm going to show you command to see what is in the RAM, command to see what is in the NVRAM before we finish today's class. It's a long journey, just follow me carefully. Okay, so now I'm going to hit enter. And guess what? If I hit enter, the switch is going to ask me a question. Am I sure I want to save with this name? I say I want to share with this name. Destination file name, because I can choose to change the name. I'm okay with the name. It's telling me if this is saved, this is the name it we used to save. I'm okay with it. It's okay, just save it. I will hit enter. And guess what? My configuration is saved. Which configuration? This one that I changed this into CCNA Global. So even if we shut down this switch now, watch out something, guys. Let me log out of this switch or let's exit again. Another exit command will take us a step backward to users mode where we started this journey from. If I hit enter and hit enter again, we are back to user executive mode. Now, if I log out from here now, actually when I exited, it took me out. And when I hit enter again, you can see that the name of my switch is TCCNA Global. Let me show you guys something here. Let's restart this switch and see whether that name will still stay. How can you restart the switch? Another command, guys. Reload. Don't forget, this is command line. Reload is a command. I will restart the switch. Oh, reload doesn't work from here, sorry. Control Shift 6X. Okay. I have to go to privilege mode. Say reload. Reload. Take note from privilege mode. I want to reload. Reload is like restarting the switch. Okay, now restart it. Now what you are seeing now, the switch is restarting and it's loading the operating system. I forgot to mention that the operating system is resident in another station called Flash. That is the location of our operating system, Flash. Not your USB flash drive. The container for the operating system, the Cisco IOS, is called Flash. So when you hit enter and the switch restarts, it loads the operating system from the flash into your RAM. It's like your normal computer, where your operating system is loaded from your hard drive into the RAM. That's when you say the computer is booting. So all those things, the compression, that's the operating system decompressing and being loaded into the RAM. So where am I going? If I hit enter right now, I've restarted this switch, you will see that that name we put is still there. How come the name is still there? Because we have saved our job. So you've learned few commands right now. So let me recap on the commands. You've learned enable command. You've learned configure terminal command. Configure terminal. You learn exit command. Then reload command. Reload command. And of course, you've learned copy command. These are basic stuff you are going to learn how to do first when you're on your switch. I'm going to take it to another level. And I will soon land my plane maybe in the next 20 to 30 minutes. This is practical class. So what are we doing, guys? We're learning how to configure our switch. We're introducing you to the world of Cisco OS. So don't forget, you move from users mode to privilege mode. You move from privilege mode to global configuration mode. And you need to get used to those prompts. And this can only be done by practice. I remember when we were students, because there was no packet tracer then. The only simulator, I forgot the name of that simulator, was expensive. For somebody like me, I couldn't afford it back then. We practice on paper. We'll practice. When we go to the university, we can practice with the equipment. But because we can't go home with the equipment, so we practice on paper. We write those prompts. We put the right command, move to the next prompt, move to the next prompt, just trying to make sure that we put these commands in our head. But thank God, Cisco has built our new generation of CCNA students. They build them out by giving us this packet tracer. And the good thing about packet tracer is you can install it on your system, move around with it, and you practice. And this packet tracer put all these commands at your fingertips, meaning you're good to go once you have practiced very well, and so on and so forth. So I want to move to the next level, guys. What have I done? I have changed, giving my computer, my switch a name, giving the switch a name. What else can I do? I can password my switch. You realize that when we enter into the switch did not ask us for any password, but we don't want that. We want a situation whereby when next we are coming into the switch will say, give me the password before you enter. I want to password this user's mode, and I want to password privilege mode. So it therefore means if I password the user's mode, before the switch will grant me access to this environment, it will ask me for password. Before the switch will grant me access to the next environment, it will ask me for another password. It's like a defense. Because if your device is not passworded, if somebody should hack into the device, they are going to have a free day there. I tell people, I say, even if people will hack into your network, at least give them work to do. Let them sweat before they hack in. Let them know that you are wicked. Look at the kind of defense you put in place. So how do we do that? Let's do it. Let's do it. So don't forget, our first level where we always find ourselves is user executive mode. So what do we need to do? Anything we want to do, anything we want to do now, we cannot do it where we are. We need to go to global configuration mode. How do we go to global configuration mode? One step at a time. You type enable first, and then you move to privilege mode. Then from this environment, you type configure terminal. You are now in global configuration mode. So you need to be aware of all these prompts. Look at the first prompt, users mode, privilege executive mode, global configuration mode. This is where I can password that my users mode. This users mode will first enter. Now I want to password it from here. So how do I password this users mode? 3 different set of commands. Now I need your brain now. I need you to concentrate. 3 different set of commands. So to password the users mode, guys, we are going to say line console 0. What are you talking about? That port we use to enter into this, so that console port, that's where we want to put the password literally. So we need to enter into that port logically by commands. And we say line console 0, meaning I am accessing that port. Now watch out now. The moment I hit enter, my prompt will change again. Look at the prompt we have here. Config line. That means I am now inside that console port. This is called line configuration mode. I am in that port right now. So what do I want to do in that port? I want to password that port. How do I password the port? The command is password, let's say Cisco. Password Cisco. I will hit enter. If I stop here, my job is not done. I have to say login. Login detail, effect this command on that port. If I hit enter, I'm done. How many commands? 3 sets of commands. Let me show you those commands. So you see, do show history. I will explain this command as we proceed. Do show history. It will show me the list of commands that I just issued right now. So look at the commands that I just issued right now. line console 0, password Cisco, then login. Look at the 3 sets of commands that I issue for me to put password on our users mode. Ladies and gentlemen, if I get out of this environment right now, save my job, and get out of this router and this switch, you will see that it's going to ask me for password. Let's do it. I'm going to tap exit. Don't forget exit command take you a step backward. I'm going to privilege mode, exit, hit enter. I want to save my job. I will say copy, run, startup config. That is copy running config, startup config. I've explained that already. If I hit enter, it will tell me the destination file name. Okay, I'm good with that. I'll hit enter again. I'm done. If I get out of this switch right now, I can even say log out. I think log out should take me out. Log out. Ah, we're out. It's as if you get out of your computer so that when next you are coming, it asks you for password. Now watch out, guys. The moment I want to go back into this switch and hit enter right now, it's telling you say, you know what? Can you give me password? I hope you guys can see that here. Can you give me password? User access verification. I need password now. Why are you asking me for password? Because we've set password. Before you can allow us to access user executive mode, we need to produce password. And what's the password? It's Cisco. Okay, I'll put the password. And you are not going to see the password when you are putting the password. So you can now see, as soon as I put the password and hit enter, it gave me access to our user executive mode. So I have passworded the user's mode. Is that enough? It's not enough. Let's go ahead and password privilege mode as well. So I want to password privilege mode. So I go back to my global configuration mode, enable, configure terminal. Then the good news with this one is enable password, just one command. Enable password, let's say class. Enable password. That means we are going to use this password as class to get to privilege mode. How do we go to privilege mode? We type enable. If I just hit enter right now, enable password class. That's it. Just one line of command. You will see that my privilege mode will be is being passworded. And when I'm coming back, it's going to ask me for password. Let's try it again. Let's save our job first. I can now press Ctrl Z to go directly to my privilege mode instead of pressing exit one after the other. Ctrl Z on your laptop, Ctrl key Z. It will take me directly to privilege mode. You know, so I'm trying to take you step by step. Baby step first, then we'll be taking advanced step. Ctrl Z. So I want to get into my privilege mode directly. So I can just press Ctrl Z, hit enter, and I'm in privilege mode. And I want to show you another command to save your job. You can just say write. Write command is old school command, and it does the same thing as your copy running config, then startup config. So whether you use write or you use copy running startup config, they do the same thing. So I'll hit enter. My job has been saved. So guys, let's log out now. Log out and get. That's where getting out of this switch now in order for us to come back. Now we're out. Now let's try to come back. Let's see whether the switch will ask us for password. Boom. The switch is asking me for password. Now there are two different passwords. One is Cisco, the other one is class. This one grants me access to users mode. This one grants me access to privilege mode. And you and I know that this is the first one we are going to get into. So I need to give Cisco. By the time he asks me for another password, I need to give class. So don't forget that, please. So now I will go there and say, okay, your password is Cisco. Cisco. Now we are here. I put Cisco. It gave me access to users mode. Now I want to go to privilege mode by typing enable. The moment I hit enter, the guy will ask me for another password again. That is multiple layers of defense now. If you break the first door, the second door will catch up with you. Now this one is going to be class. By the time I hit enter, ladies and gentlemen, we are at privilege mode. So this is another thing you learn on your switch. Password, your users mode. Password, your, what is it called? Your privilege mode. These two environments are very important for you to learn how to put it into. These two passwords are very important for you to know how to put in place. Now, what we did is not the best. We will come to another class again, how to build a local area network. We're going to come to switch again. Then I will not expatiate on that. Because this password, now this command, let me show you guys something. Another command, to learn. I want to see the content of RAM. I want to see the concept of NVRAM. What are the commands? For RAM, show, let me just type the command. Show running config. I want to tell this, you know what? Can I see what is in your RAM? I will say show running config. That's another command to learn. Show running config. Okay, let me see what is in your RAM. The moment I put and I hit enter right now, once you see this building configuration, everything under it, you begin to see what is in your RAM. Now, when you see more, you press spacebar, spacebar, spacebar until you get to the end. So this is what I'm trying to see. Now, by looking at the RAM, I can see what I put for my line console 0. The password is Cisco. So if somebody is watching behind me right now, the person can say, I can see your password for line console 0. Then where is my privilege mode? We should go up and see the privilege mode. Look at the one for privilege mode. Okay. So that is somebody looking from behind. That is why it is advised you encrypt those passwords. And I'm going to talk about that when we come to another level. So you don't just leave these things in plain text. You make sure that they are all encrypted. So I will leave that to that. What if you want to see the content of any VRAM? You say show startup config. These are the things we saved in our NVRAM. Show startup config. So the content of RAM and NVRAM will look alike if you have saved. But if you have not saved job, you will see some things in the RAM that are not in the NVRAM. So you need to be aware of that. So you must make sure you always save your job. So these are part of the basics you are going to learn. So new command, show running config, and then show startup config. So these are some of the things I want to talk about in today's class. The other part, let me go through my PowerPoint quickly and see if there's anything I'm leaving behind as far as command is concerned. So you are going to read the curriculum. So what about SSH and Telnet? That will be in another class. We're just exploring the console. I'm talking about privilege mode, global configuration mode, line configuration. Okay, let me talk about interface configuration mode. Guess what? This switch does not have an IP address. Some of you that may not know about IP address, that is what we use to access computer. If you want to access computer remotely, you use the IP address of the computer. The switch does not have any IP address. Let's learn how to give the switch an IP address. Because for now, I still go back to my global configuration mode. Now, this is another way. You can now shorten this command now. Conft is a way to shorten configure terminal. What do I want to do? I want to give this switch an IP address. How do I do that? I will go into an interface called interface VLAN 1. It's a logical interface on the switch, not a physical interface. And guess what? My command line, my prompt has changed again. Config if. This is what we call interface configuration mode. Interface configuration mode. So you can see what I have in that place now. Config if. Now, what do I want to do here? I want to give this switch an IP address. And the command to give the switch an IP address is IP address. And I can give the switch an IP address, let's say 192.168.1.1 and subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Somebody will say, what is the meaning of this? Don't worry, we're going to get there. We're going to learn IP address. It's a different class all by itself. Okay? And then I will say no short. Boom. And guess what? I've given the switch an IP address. So anytime I want to access this switch remotely, I'm in Nigeria, maybe the switch is in America. Even though this is a private IP address, we don't use private IP address, we use public IP address. I'll pick the IP address and use it to enter into the switch remotely, and then begin to work on the switch as if it's with me physically. That is the beauty of managed switches. If it is unmanaged, you can't do this. If the switch is unmanaged, all these things we are doing, you cannot name the switch, you cannot do anything. You cannot encrypt your login details. No, the way you bought the switch, that's the way you will use it. So these are some of the things you need to also learn. So now if I want to verify, if you go back to that our running config again, you're going to see our IP address. You see the IP address we put. This is what is in our RAM now. Guys, good. We have not saved, guys. Let's go back to our NVRAM. NVRAM is show startup. You will see that you won't see that is in NVRAM, show startup. You see that IP address is not there because I've not saved. You see, interface VLAN 1 is empty in the NVRAM because I've not saved. But if I use that my command, write, and it's saved, and go back and say show startup config. Now, please, if you notice that I'm bringing up the pass command very fast, I'm using up arrow key on my keyboard. So that's another thing you need to learn. Up arrow key gives you previous command. Up arrow key. You just press up arrow key, gives you previous command. You need to get used to all of these shortcuts as we proceed. It's small. So just take it easy, guys. It's small. So now, sorry about that. So now, if I now say show startup config now, you are going to see now that because we've saved, that IP address has entered into our NVRAM, into the permanent storage center. So if I should restart my switch right now, that IP address will come back. But if I forget to save and restart my switch, the IP address is not going to come back. So these are some of the things you need to learn. Basic configuration of the switch. So your switch is managed. Cisco switch is a managed switch. You can configure it, and these are part of the basics of configuration. There are other advanced configuration as we can configure it for the remote login, telnet, SSH. We're going to take care of that in another class, but I just want to introduce you guys to this. And I think the last one I will talk about is sometimes we want to give our computer IP address as well. I think I will leave that to that class. If we need to give the computer an IP address, let me just do that. You click this computer, you go to desktop, that's in the packet tracer. You go to IP configuration, and this is where we give the computer an IP address. I can say, okay, my computer is 192.168.1.2, and of course, I'll give it a subnet mask, and I'm good to go. I'll close this, and I'm done giving this computer an IP address. Why? What for? You find out when we get to that level where you give these things IP addresses. So, guys, that is where I'm going to draw the line here on the basis of router and switch, switch configuration. So I'm now going to be giving room for questions. So if you have questions, please